All right, the bell is rung. You are in your seats. Welcome to Western civilization. French Revolution is over. Napoleon has taken over. He's been conquering a good chunk of Europe. Um, I think on Thursday I did not lecture. I just let you watch a video on all the wars of Napoleon. Hopefully you did that. And then today I think is Monday, May 11th. Hopefully we got the date right. We'll see. But we are now talking, assuming you watched all the videos like you were supposed to, let us talk about the end of Napoleon's empire. All right, so in 1812, Napoleon decides he has to invade Russia. He's already got a huge chunk of an empire, but his fear is that the Russians are going to conspire with the British. So Napoleon's got a good chunk of Europe under his control. He is unable, though, obviously, to conquer the British, so the British are out there alone. And he's afraid now Russia's going to team up. And so he decides, you know what, let's be preemptive. He's already fighting with Britain. Let's be preemptive, and we're just going to go ahead and invade Russia. So he takes 600,000 soldiers, manages to make it all the way to Moscow. However, the Russians refuse to surrender. So he captures this much of Russian territory. However, there's still this much of Russia to go. And Russia, the Russians just keep burning the city. They burn, as they retreat, they burn everything. And so Napoleon is now in Moscow. France is, a couple thousand miles away. He has no ability to live off the land because the Russians have burnt everything. And lo and behold, the Russian winter sets in. And where the people of Russia could not defeat Napoleon, the winter of Russia does defeat Napoleon. Napoleon makes it back with 30,000 troops. How many troops did he attack Russia with? 600,000. How does he come back with? 30,000. Winter does more than the Russians can ever do. So here's the thing. Germany does not learn from Napoleon. We are going to find out that Hitler is going to pull the exact same stunt. Russia is going to do the exact same stunt. And lo and behold, it's not the Russians who defeat Germany in Russia. It's going to be the winter. And so this is not a new thing. Napoleon was the first one to make the mistake, trying to fight Great Britain and Russia at the same time. World War I, we're kind of going to do the same thing a little bit. World War II, we definitely do the same thing, and we get the same result. So Hitler should have learned from Napoleon. However, once the Russian winter defeats Napoleon, everybody else is like, he is out of soldiers. And so British, Austria, the Prussians, and the Russians, they all team up and they converge on France. And they attack, and Napoleon has to surrender. He has to give up his title of emperor in April 1814. Now, they do not kill him. Instead, they restore the French monarchy, and they take Napoleon and they exile him to the island of Elba. And so he is supposed to live the rest of his days in exile. I guess they didn't want to kill him because they thought, we don't want to make a martyr of him. He has a lot of supporters. However, a year later, he escapes, returns to France, and reconstitutes the army. So he's like, woohoo, I'm back, guys. This time, the British do defeat him at the Battle of Waterloo, one of the more famous, battles in English history. And they banish Napoleon to a remote island in St. Helena, and he finally does die in 1821. With Napoleon out of the way, we have the Congress of Vienna. These the world powers were coming together. And so all the allies that defeated Napoleon come together, and they start making decisions, the concert of Europe. They start making decisions on how Europe is going to be set up. And so Russia Britain, Russia, Austria, and Prussia meet, and they make all the decisions on how Europe is going to be set up. And one of the things that we're going to come up with a balance of power system. And so our goal is to make sure that, all competing interests are always going to be balanced out. That one country will never become too powerful. If one country starts getting powerful, you want to team up with its enemies. And that way, the whole idea of the balance of power is, if everybody assumes that they cannot defeat another country, they will not go to war. And so we're going to discover next year, when we talk about World War II and the end of World War II, the balance of power system still exists at the end of World War II. In fact, it still exists today. The whole idea of the nuclear arms race is that whole idea of the balance of power. You've got a nuclear weapon, I get a nuclear weapon. That way I won't attack you, that way you won't attack me. That's the balance of power. You've got submarines, I need submarines. You've got aircraft carriers, I need aircraft carriers. And as long as we all have the same weapons, as long as we're sure that one side can't defeat the other, this is how we're going to pretty much stop any type of major war. That's the whole idea of the balance of power, come up with the Concert of Vienna. All right, one of the things they also deal with is they do their best to abolish things like the slave trade. We're going to get rid of slavery in Europe about this time. We're going to deal with the rights of German Jews. Again, always going to be a touchy subject. We've talked about that a lot in this class. But we're also going to make sure we resist revolutionary change. We are going to make sure that all the monarchies are reestablished. Again, going back to the Congress of Vienna, we're going to put all the kings and all the queens back in place. We're going to put all the borders back in place. We're going to make sure that Europe looks like the way it was. We're getting rid of any type of revolutionary change. Remember, the United States is its own little thing that nobody likes. Everybody else is a monarchy. The revolution, the French Revolution, tried to change that. All the rest of the monarchies in Europe were like, no, we get rid of Poland, and then we go back to the way it was. We're trying to keep Europe the way it was. We don't want to change. We don't want to innovate. We don't want to introduce democracy. Monarchism continues to exist in Europe. All right, let's talk about William Wilberforce, and I think we're going to talk about him tomorrow. All right, have an awesome day, and we'll see you then again on Tuesday.